What if every rejection you faced became the start of an empire? What if the trait that set you apart became the force that carried you forward?
In the beginning, of course, I used to dream about it. But after that, it always made me a bit sad, in fact. Because when you see yourself in photos, you see yourself touched up in clothes which aren't your own.
A young Australian woman walked onto a beach in a red bikini for a simple soda ad, and the world saw a new kind of beauty. She didn't plan a modeling career. She didn't plan to earn a nickname that would follow her everywhere. But when she stopped trying to blend in, people couldn't look away.
You'll say that the people that you're not quite sure about are the ones that have the most versatility, rather than the ones that are obviously the most beautiful when you see them.
This is Elle Macpherson's story. She wasn't the fragile, sample-size figure fashion wanted. She was tall, strong, and athletic, having spent years in the pool. What some runways dismissed, the mainstream embraced. Magazine covers, billboards, and television followed. 3 straight Sports Illustrated covers made her a phenomenon, and soon the body became a brand.
She produced a television documentary based around the making of that calendar that year that in the market that it was shown rated #1 in its spot.
What began with one walk on the sand grew into a legacy, because sometimes the only way to lead is to stand apart and own exactly who you are. Elle Macpherson was born in 1964 near Sydney. Her plan was steady and sensible: attend university, earn a law degree, and pursue a professional path. Modeling was a short-term side job before the real career. Years of swimming had built a strong frame, yet as a teen, she saw it as sports, not destiny. At 17, she took a gap year. Like many Australians, she wanted to travel before studying. She went to Aspen, Colorado for a ski trip. A click model management scout saw potential where others might have looked away. Elle stood at a height of close to 6 feet with broad shoulders and clear athletic lines. Agencies chasing a narrow ideal could have passed. Click did not. The offer came with a ticket to New York. Leave home. Leave law school plans. Start again in a city that moved fast. She packed a bag and went. Early 80s, New York buzzed. Fashion rooms were crisp about measurements and samples. The favored look was delicate. Elle's build did not match that sample rack. Even so, she began booking. Her Australian lilt charmed. Her easy manner in front of a camera read as presence. The most significant early break did not come from a catwalk or couture shoot. It came from a soda ad that would reach millions at home. The move to New York brought a new daily rhythm. Castings began early, concluded late, and relocated from one address to another. She learned how to hold a mark, read a brief, and find the light. Sessions on test shoots helped build trust with young photographers who appreciated her calm under pressure. It was a slow turn at first, then a steady run of calls. She did not chase a different body to fit the sample rack. She doubled down on her strengths: posture, poise, and a direct gaze. That choice kept her grounded while the rest of the room chased inches on a tape. It also set the stage for the moment that followed. That background in sport did more than shape her frame. It instilled in her habits that translated to sets and studios, showing up early, focusing on the next rep, and staying even when the day ran long. Those habits are easy to miss in a glossy image. They matter when the job turns from a picture into a schedule. The Coca-Cola tab commercial sounded routine, a diet soda spot aimed at young women. The setup was simple: walk a beach in swimwear and sell the dream of staying slim while enjoying life. The formula was familiar. When Elle Macpherson stepped onto that beach in a red bikini in 1982, the effect was different. The ad did not just promote tab, it introduced a look that felt strong and healthy on screen. She moved with the ease of someone who was at home in water. The camera caught confidence rather than fragility. The reaction in Australia was immediate. Overnight, she was widely recognized. Calls came in from editors and photographers. The ad launched bookings and proved audiences would welcome another image of female beauty. Her sun-kissed, natural vibe lined up with an emerging Australian ideal that felt fresh abroad. It was not about heavy glamour or strict sophistication. It was open, outdoors, and self-assured. By the mid-'80s, her face reached the covers again and again. Elle magazine, in particular, leaned into that appeal. The joke wrote itself: Elle in Elle. In 1986, she married Gilles Ben-Simon, the magazine's creative director, thereby deepening her connections within the industry. That spot also changed how clients viewed her range. Beauty houses saw someone who could sell confidence without a stiff pose. Travel brands saw a woman who felt at home near water and sun. Retailers saw a face that looked friendly and direct. The beach ad was the hinge. The next turn would scale everything up. It also showed her what to protect. She saw that audiences responded to ease, not strain. That lesson would guide choices in photos and on film sets. She leaned into natural movement, clean lines, and clear energy. It became a rule she could use anywhere. The public response also taught her a clean lesson about image. People were drawn to ease and health, to movement that looked lived in rather than staged. She kept that insight close as she moved into bigger shoots and larger audiences. It became a guide for which offers to accept and which to skip. In the 1980s, high fashion prized extreme thinness. Runway models were tall, yet very slim, carefully shaped to blend in under clothes. The ideal looked almost weightless. Elle Macpherson's frame told a different story. Years in the pool built real muscle and broad shoulders. She later put it, 6 feet tall, 36-inch hips and bust, and swimmer's shoulders from a lifetime of laps. That did not match the sample rack. Some casting rooms made that clear. When one lane narrowed, another opened. Commercial clients wanted a body that felt alive on a beach and steady in motion. Swimsuit shoots needed someone who could move through waves and make the sea and sand look like home. Sports Illustrated was growing a massive audience for precisely that kind of image. Photographers valued her control. She used her height to draw long, clean lines against sky and water. Salt, wind, and glare did not shake her. A changing shore became part of the shot. The pictures carried movement instead of stiffness. Her appeal also came from ease. She looked strong and calm, like someone you might meet outside a studio and remember. That mix, power, warmth, and poise, suited a market bigger than couture rooms. Editors saw it on newsstands. Covers with energy and eye contact sold. Advertisers wanted pages that sold a life, not just a dress. She met that brief without chasing a smaller shape. She leaned into what was already true about her build and presence. There was a work truth behind the images. Runway days are fast and tight, with little room to adjust. Location shoots widen the frame. They reward stamina, patience, and a steady mood when wind, tide, and time all press at once. Her first Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover in 1986 marked a significant milestone in her career. The issue flew off shelves, the picture spread, and her name reached far beyond fashion readers. Editors then made a rare choice and brought her back for 1987. The swimsuit issue usually rotated faces. Demand overruled habit. The second cover transformed her from a name to a phenomenon. In 1988, they repeated it again. 3 straight years on the most-watched swimsuit cover made history. No model had done it. Each image showed her in control, with grace and comfort in her own skin. They played less like bikini shots and more like a woman entirely at ease in her element. The streak reset expectations in media offices. Bookers requested her by name, magazines chased fresh covers. Television and film outreach followed. By late 1988, she had become a global figure, and a new marker of that rise was soon to come. Those covers also changed internal math. A single model could move issues across multiple seasons. That fact mattered in meetings where budgets and ad pages were set. The word supermodel gained proof in sales, not just in the press. 3 in a row also created reliability. Readers recognized her on site. Editors planned knowing she would deliver. Photographers built shoots around that certainty. Dependable results are currency. She earned them picture by picture. The run gave her leverage at the table. Schedules, usage, promotion, terms could be shaped with a firmer hand. When the same face sells the marquee issue 3 years in a row, people listen. She used that advantage to guard what worked and pass on moves that did not fit. In January 1989, Time put Elle Macpherson on its cover with the line, "The Big L." The profile inside captured the scale of her fame and gave her the words that would follow her for decades. The body, Australia's gift to the fashion world. The tag summed up how audiences saw her: athletic, vital, and memorable. She chose to lean in. Rather than push back on a label, she secured it and turned it into property. She moved to register the body as a trademark. That step protected a name and laid the groundwork for products, licensing, and later companies. The Time moment moved her from model to cultural figure. Serious magazines do not hand out nicknames lightly. The story examined her impact on beauty ideals and the scale of her public presence. The label stuck. In widespread use, Elle Macpherson and the body became synonymous. She now had a brand she could steer. Owning the phrase changed business talks. Contracts could include language tied to the mark. Packaging could carry a name people recognized at a glance. The brand was simple to say and easy to remember. It also fit the image she had already presented to the world. Strategy and identity matched. A short, clear name has power in a crowded market. It travels across borders, fits in a box, and sticks in memory. By anchoring projects to that name, she made sure every new product carried the same promise. That consistency kept customers from guessing what they would get. It also gave her a North Star when offers began to pour in. If a project did not align with the qualities behind the name, health, ease, strength, she could walk away. Saying no kept the yeses clean. Over time, that discipline kept the brand intact while trends rose and fell. By 1990, she had reached a peak that many never attain. She did not coast, she built. Lingerie was the first major move. Elle Macpherson Intimates was launched in partnership with Bendon, a New Zealand company that handled manufacturing and distribution. She brought design instincts, image and marketing drive. The line focused on pieces that felt good to wear and looked good to see. It grew rapidly across Australia, New Zealand, and the UK, and she led the campaigns throughout the 1990s. In 1994, she founded Elle Macpherson Inc. to oversee a growing portfolio of ventures. The same year, she released Your Personal Best with the Body, a workout video that met public curiosity about her routine and turned it into a product. Annual Elle Macpherson calendars arrived as premium pinups with TV specials and behind-the-scenes segments. Each project reinforced the brand while building revenue. Not every bet paid off. In 1995, she joined Naomi Campbell and Claudia Schiffer to open Fashion Cafe in New York. The launch drew cameras. The crowds did not last. The restaurant closed within a few years. The lesson was durable. Publicity is not the same as a business case. Her reputation as an owner-operator grew. A magazine profile called her the business head behind the body, a tidy summary of how she kept control of her name and output. In 2014, she co-founded WellCo, a wellness company focused on high-end supplements. Its hero product, the Super Elixir Greens Powder, matched the long public image of health and energy she had carried since the early days. The point was not diversions. It was about building a platform that didn't depend on bookings or age. The model became the manager of a brand with many doors. Distribution relationships, licensing deals, and recurring products replaced short one-off fees. The shift was steady and planned. She kept decision-making close. Creative calls ran through her hands. She attended key meetings, learned supply chain terms, and monitored returns. The habits of an athlete, repeat, refine, repeat, turned into a business rhythm. The work was slow in some places, but the foundation remained stable. The calendars and the workout video did one more thing. They built a direct line to fans. People could bring a piece of the brand into their homes year after year. That direct link turned attention into loyalty and kept the name present even when she was off a set. It is a small shift that helps a public career last. Her influence reached far beyond any single cover. Throughout the late 1980s and into the 1990s, her image helped mainstream a body ideal that emphasized strength and vitality. The earlier runway vision of sharp angles gave ground to a shape with muscle and curve. That shift was evident in ads, on magazine racks, and in the faces designers chose for their campaigns. The reach widened through film and television. She made her film debut in Woody Allen's Alice, then took a headline-making role in Sirens. In 1997, she appeared in Batman and Robin and starred alongside Anthony Hopkins in The Edge. These roles showed she would take risks and hold the screen. On TV, her most famous turn came on Friends in 1999 to 2000 as Janine LaCroix, Joey's roommate across 5 episodes. The show's scale put her in front of a vast audience beyond the fashion world. Hosting and judging gigs followed. She co-hosted Miss Universe 2001 and America's Next Top Model, and hosted Saturday Night Live in 2006. In the next decade, she stepped behind the scenes as well, serving as host and executive producer of Britain and Ireland's Next Top Model from 2010 to 2013, and fronted NBC's Fashion Star in 2012, while also working as an executive producer. She also chose to pause parts of her acting life to raise her 2 children, a decision she later said felt right. The balance showed a person steering her own pace. Her example influenced those who followed. Models emerging in the 1990s and 2000s watched a path that was not only a runway to a campaign, but also a runway to a company. They saw a brand built on health, consistency, and ownership. The message was clear. Use a moment of fame to create something that lasts. Decades after that first red bikini, she could still return to a catwalk and command the room. In 2024, she surprised fans by walking at the Melbourne Fashion Festival in Australia. The images looked like a loop closing, an Australian on a runway at home, still composed, still in control. The broader legacy sits in the way her name operates as shorthand, say, the body, and many people across generations think of one person. The phrase signals a blend of strength, ease, and polish. It also points to a model who built a second act while the first act was still running. That pattern became a map for others. The path shaped culture at a slow, steady pace. Viewers who grew up with those images carried them into how they saw their own bodies. Editors who watched those covers sell added more range to their casting. Founders who watched her brand moves planned their own product lines with tighter control. Influence looks like that, small steps that add up. Those television roles also put her in a mentor seat. On competition shows, a few calm words can shape how a younger model handles a long shoot day or a tough note. Her presence on set offered that steady tone. It carried the same message as the early years. Keep it simple, do the work, and let the image follow. Elle Macpherson's path shows how a plan can change and still lead to the right place. She did not map a mission to change beauty ideals or launch companies. She refused to hide what made her different when the industry pushed a thin template. That stance carried her into mainstream culture. The teenager who aspired to be a lawyer became an early case study in personal branding. She turned a magazine label into protected property. She converted the narrow casting room "no" into a broad commercial "yes." She moved beyond a window of youth to businesses with their own momentum. In a culture that loves reinvention, Elle Macpherson's signal achievement is steadiness. She remained herself and made that consistency pay off year after year. The empire rose from one decision at a time. Keep the voice, keep the look, keep the name, and own the result. The story still resonates with anyone standing at a crossroads. You do not need to fit a borrowed outline. You can acknowledge what is real about you, and if you continue doing so, the world may meet you where you stand. That is how a red bikini on a beach became the first page of a long career, and how a name became a company that lasted.